Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to another Amoretti recipe in our test kitchen. I'm Lauren, and today I will be showing you how to make overnight dark spice cinnamon rolls using our dark spice extract and our Madagascar bourbon vanilla extract. So our dark spice is going to add tons of flavors of clove, ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon. It really gives a nice winter holiday flavor twist to this recipe. And then of course our vanilla is gonna really incorporate some really warm vanilla notes to it. I love this recipe. It is really easy to make. It is a little bit of a time-consuming recipe to begin with, but it's great to serve in the morning. You just pop it in the oven and let it cook and top it with some really delicious cream cheese frosting. So I really hope you give it a try and I intrigue you by the recipe and you make this for your family over the holidays. The first step in this recipe is to mix together all of our wet ingredients with the sugar. So I'm going to put this into our mixing bowl with the whisk attachment. These are just egg yolks here. And then 1 whole egg. We have buttermilk, granulated sugar. I have some melted butter over here. And now I'm going to add in our extracts. So I'll be using 2 teaspoons of our dark spice. And then I'll just be using 1 teaspoon of the vanilla extract. And this smells so good. I think I fell in love with the dark spice extract even before I tasted it. Like, it smells so fragrant, and like the holidays, you can really get the cinnamon and clove notes to it. It's just, it literally screams like this is the holiday season. It is fall and we need some spices in our cinnamon rolls. So we have everything here in our mixing bowl. I'm just going to turn it on and get everything really well incorporated, and then we will add in some salt, yeast, and a little bit of our flour. All right, so everything that we just added is mixed together really well. So now I'm going to pour in our salt and then some instant yeast. And if you just have active yeast, you can activate it in a little bit of your buttermilk. You'll just want to get that warm first. And I will put the notes on how to do that in the blog post. So just hit the link below if that's how you want to make your cinnamon rolls, is with active yeast, and you can find instructions on how to do that there. And I'm going to just start with about 2 cups of flour in here and get that mixed together. And then we will switch our whisk attachment to a dough hook, because we're not making batter, we're making cinnamon roll dough. All right, so I'm going to turn off our mixer right now. I'm going to scrape down the sides a little bit to get all that flour in there. And then we're going to replace the whisk attachment with the dough hook. Get all of that deliciousness off of there. You do not want to waste one bit. And we are just gonna put on the dough hook and add in a little bit more flour. This is 3.5 cups of flour in the bowl here. You may or may not need to use it all, but just add it sparingly, because you don't want to, it's easier to add more flour into your dough than needing to add more moisture to loosen it up. So go slow, be patient. You'll get your good consistency dough ball easily. So as you can see, our dough isn't quite finished yet. I just want to show you an example of how it will look if you need to add some more flour. So right now it's definitely not a ball, like a ball. It's not forming into anything. It's very runny still. It looks sticky. So when it looks like this, you're going to want to add some more flour. Start with about 1/4 cup to a tablespoon. You don't want to go overboard. Like I said, if you add too much flour, it is harder to loosen up your dough ball. So I'm going to just add in a little bit under 1/4 cup here, and we are going to continue mixing. So our dough ball here is finished. It is ready to take out. And all we're going to do is remove it from the bowl. We are going to make it into a nice size ball, put it into a pre-greased bowl, and let it rise. The rising process is very dependent on the temperature of your home. If you live someplace and it's pretty cold right now, it might take a little bit longer. If it's pretty hot and humid, it might only take about an hour, but typically it'll be about 2 to 2.5 hours. So I have our bowl here ready to go. Just place your dough ball in there. And you're also going to want to grease the top of your ball as well because it can dry out and we don't want that. So just a light spray of cooking oil or just brush it with some olive oil. Wrap this up with some plastic wrap and just set it aside. Our dough has risen for a few hours now, but before we do anything with it, we need to make our cinnamon filling. So what we have here is brown sugar, some regular cinnamon, and salt. Super easy, just dump them all in the bowl together and mix it up. Now I like a ton of filling in my cinnamon rolls. If you don't want it overly sweet, you don't have to use all of this, but I do recommend saving whatever is left over and using it to like top your oatmeal or even add into like some pancakes or something like that. It's really good. I personally love putting this on my oatmeal. It gives it a little cinnamon brown sugar twist. So just mix it up really well. All right, and set this aside because now it is time to roll out our dough. Now we are going to be rolling out our dough. We want to make it into a long rectangle. So make sure you flour the surface you will be rolling your dough out on beforehand because it is sticky. And also flour your hands a little bit because pulling it out of the bowl it could get a little bit messy. So here is our beautiful dough. It has risen. It's nice and fluffy. Going to put a little flour on the top. I'm going to press it out a little bit before I start rolling it out with my rolling pin, make things a little bit easier. And now just very carefully make sure everything's out of the way of your rolling pin because I've had my fair share of knocking things around the table while doing this. Just gently roll it out into a long rectangle. And because we're going to roll this, try and make sure everything's pretty evenly squared on each side of your dough. That'll make it much easier when you go to roll it out, or roll it up. We have our dough nice and rolled out here. So next step is to brush it with some butter. You can use melted butter, or if you already have some that's at room temperature, just rub the dough with that. You want to make sure to leave about 1/2 inch around the perimeter, so that way it'll stick together when we roll it up. I have melted butter here because I did not take it out of the fridge earlier, so I just melted some and I'm just going to brush it on. Our dough is nice and buttered. Now it is time to use the filling we just made, and we will sprinkle it all along where we just buttered. Try and make it nice and even. And again, I really love a lot of filling in my cinnamon rolls. If you don't want it so sugary, just use some of this leftover. I swear, put it on your oatmeal. It is so delicious. I am a huge fan of oats for breakfast. Of course, when I'm not having overnight cinnamon rolls, but this is like just a great addition to it. So even just make a little side of this to have during the week with your breakfast. And as you're sprinkling too, you want to gently push the filling into the dough so it sticks, and it'll make rolling this up so much easier on you. If you have loose cinnamon sugar while you're trying to roll this up, it's going to make a huge mess. It's frustrating, it's not fun, so press it into your dough. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure everything is nice and secure, and we will roll up our cinnamon rolls. I think we are good to go here. Now, this is the part where you have to have a little bit of patience. The first couple rolls are a little bit difficult, but after that, it goes pretty smoothly. You'll just want to carefully fold over this first edge and just roll it up. Just keep rolling, rolling, rolling. So we're getting there. And sometimes your dough might stick to the table on the bottom. That's okay, just pull it off. It is not a big deal. This is a sticky dough, so it will happen. And as you're going to, just try and make sure everything's nice and even. We'll do that even more at the end, but it helps to do it as you roll. I find finishing the last roll to be my biggest challenge. I don't know why. It's just like, you're almost there, you're almost done. Like, don't mess this up. Just finish that final roll, but we got it. So once you finish, you're at the end, squeeze that together so you can make a seal on your cinnamon rolls, so nothing falls out as you're cutting this and putting it into a baking dish. Squeeze it, and I'm also going to try and make sure everything is around the same size. Awesome. And I'm going to get the seam onto the bottom, so that will help keep everything together even more. So just flip it over, nice and fast. Perfect. This is going to be our last step for today, at least, with our cinnamon roll here. We are going to slice this into about 1.5 inch pieces. This will make probably about 12. I like to score my roll a little bit before I start slicing it, so I know everything's pretty even. If I don't do that, I know me personally, it's gonna be, we're definitely gonna have, you know, either 10 or 13, totally an odd number. So I want this to be 12. So I'm just going to slice it slightly beforehand. And then that way, if some of your slices are a little bit bigger, you'll know that you need to make your slices bigger as you slice. All right, and then place it in your pan. And I pre-grease this as well with some butter. You can use olive oil, vegetable oil, whatever you have on hand or prefer. All right. There you have it. We are all done here. I'm just going to wrap this up, put it in the fridge, and they'll get baked in the morning. Our cinnamon rolls have been in the fridge overnight. Obviously, these are not the ones we just made. I made these yesterday, so we could streamline everything today. They also have been taken out of the refrigerator. I let them sit at room temperature for 2 hours so they can rise a little bit more before we bake them. So all we're gonna do is pop in the oven. It's at 350, and it'll probably take about 20 to 30 minutes depending on your oven. You don't want them too golden brown because you want them to still be nice and sticky in the middle. And also, as you can see, some of that filling kind of seeped out. Totally fine, don't worry about it. They're going in the oven, they're in this pan, they're just gonna soak up all of that delicious flavor and make them even better. So all right, let's get it in the oven. While the cinnamon rolls are baking, we are going to make the cream cheese frosting. So all we have here is cream cheese, some milk, powdered sugar. I'll also be adding in more of the dark spice extract and vanilla extract. Super easy, just put everything in a bowl and mix it. So we'll add in our milk, some powdered sugar, spoon of the dark spice extract, then I'm also going to do another teaspoon of the vanilla extract. And now we mix. And this, you can also make this the day before to save yourself some time in the morning. Either way works. You don't have to make it while they're baking. Just pre-make it if you don't want to worry about it the next day. So let's mix it up. All right, there you have it. Our cream cheese frosting is done, easy as that. We are just going to set it aside and wait for our cinnamon rolls to finish baking. I just pulled the cinnamon rolls out of the oven and they are perfectly baked. You want them to be a little bit golden brown on top, but not too much. If it gets overcooked, you're not gonna have that nice gooey cinnamon roll. So let's give one a try. These look so good. They smell so good. I am ready to dig in. Oh yeah, this is gonna be incredible. I'm gonna do a nice little dollop of icing on top. Add as much as you want. This recipe makes quite a bit of icing because I know some of us out there just absolutely go crazy for the icing more so than the cinnamon rolls. So there's enough to go around, there's enough to share. I don't even know where to begin. I need to be very careful. I don't want to burn myself while eating this. Still pretty hot. That is where it's at. That is so good. The cream cheese icing is not too sweet. I personally don't like it super sweet because the cinnamon roll itself is sweet. So it has that nice tart cream cheese flavor with warm notes of vanilla, and then you have the ginger and nutmeg and clove from the dark spice. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is the perfect thing to like start off your Thanksgiving morning with, or Christmas morning, or any other holidays you have coming up. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you did, be sure to hit that like button below and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new recipe that we share. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Amoretti. See you next time.